I mentioned in a video the other day about the King who has prorogued Parliament. And there's a number of things I want to address about this, but before we get on to all of that, one of the things that I wanted to mention was that when he prorogued Parliament, it seems that a number of bills were given royal assent, just like that. Now, I have to say I don't know how Parliament works or anything like that, but it does seem extremely suspicious that we have this weird period of time in which the King has prorogued the Parliament, given royal assent to a number of bills. We'll have a look at those in a second. And then we're not actually calling for a general election. And it makes me wonder why we have this sort of 10-day period. I believe the new Parliament starts on the 7th of November. And there's a couple of interesting dates that lie between that, which may have some significance. But before we come on to all of that, let's just see what bills were passed. So I was advised to have a look here, and we can see that at prorogation, a list of acts that have been received by royal assent, and here they are. This was on the what used to be called Twitter, assent. So the non-domestic rating bill, the economic crime and corporate transparency bill, the slightly worrying, I was trying to highlight it there, the slightly worrying energy bill. That's the bill that gives them the right to smash your door down and come in and force a smart meter on your wall, or indeed if you've got a wood-burning stove to come and take it away, to change your gas boiler, I believe, to a heat pump. The Levelling Up and Regeneration Bill, the Online Safety Bill, a bill in which it gives them permission to take me off the air because they don't agree with what I am saying, just an ordinary person's opinion. The Procurement Bill and the Worker Protection Amendment of Equality Act from 2010 bill. I don't know what half of those bills mean, but that's what's apparently been done. All, of course, all supposedly for our benefit, supposedly to make us safe and secure. That online safety bill so that you don't have to listen to the likes of me and many others who want to perhaps open your eyes to some of the nefarious things that are going on. Such as, for example, the trust. I was talking about the trust only the other day, in fact, and I put a video up there saying that you are richer than you think, that in fact we're all creditors. We didn't set this trust up. No, some other people set it up, but we are all creditors. They're making money out of us by the big deception. And a lot of this is to do with registering and being part of their jurisdiction and things like that. Now, if you didn't see the video, I'll leave a link in the description because it tells you how you are actually already a creditor and not a debtor, if I can say the correct terminology. And I want to read out a comment that came in based on that so that you can see that although some of the comments said, yeah, Richard, this stuff is ages old. I'll put up £500 if somebody could actually prove it works, and things like that. A lot of doubters. And it is when information comes to you very often and you think, no, this can't be true, I don't believe it, that people just ignore it, put their head in the sand, or doubt it. They're not prepared to open their minds. That's fine. I've got no problem with people not opening their minds. I'm just trying to put the information as I understand it and as I've unravelled it. So let's just have a look and see what this commenter has put. His name is Ashley, and it's in the comments there in answer to somebody else. But let's have a look and see what he says. It is a little bit lengthy, so we'll read it together. Here we go. It says, firstly, Richard explains in the vid that this is all relatively new to him, which is true. It is within the last 6 months, you know. This has obviously woken up. He's obviously woken up to the reality that life as depicted to us is a lie. He's very much on the right track and wants to run with it. How many here first awoke to such revelations and wanted to shout it out to everyone else? How many couldn't sleep once it all clicked and they realised that they had been duped? We have all been there. I have responded on this vid elsewhere with a few comments and observations. Richard is fundamentally on the right track, which is the important part. Forget your straw man and sovereignty rubbish and all the vids related to it, promising how you fight the system. It sets you off, he says, on the wrong foot from the start and only leads you down a path that you cannot escape from. The fundamental fact to take on board is that everything is yours to start with. It's only when you give or authorize it away, and by that I'll come on to that, what he means by that, or follow a route trying to defend their claims against a non-existent entity, that you will have a problem. Their system is designed to serve them and benefit them alone. However, they highlight with their laws and maxims an alternative resolution. The resolution is useless if you do not claim it, stick to it, or divert from it. The answers are in their questions. Ignore it, or by not adopting it, you give them the consent. It is their responsibility to state their claim and make their standing. Yours is always clear from the start unless you give it away. The maxim of law. It is the responsibility of the claimant to justify his or their claim. Whether you accept it, make a mistake, or slip up by remaining silent, your standing, resulting in you being inferior to them, will be your own downfall. As stated in my previous comment, I'm no way a religious man, but you are created in God's image. You are therefore a God. You can create life and you can take life just like God. From the outset, you are, by the law of natural things, already superior to government corporations, even before you start. God created man. Man created government to care for man, and government created companies and persons to serve man. You are the creation of God, superior to government, or you are the person created by government, inferior to government. Another maxim of law: the created cannot be higher than the creator. The problem is that people think too hard on the matter and try to fight it. It's up to them to fight you in order to demote you to the trustee, inferior being created by them, who's responsible for all the debts they demand of you. The dead entity corporation on corpse rations. It is so simple to simply stand your ground that you are on and not allow them to demoralize you into something else. Understand their laws, understand the language they speak and the demands they aim to achieve through deception, and you will triumph. All income tax is voluntary. In fact, all tax is voluntary. You can choose to avoid paying. Others are necessary to pay in order to walk away with the goods you need. I have not paid income tax for 25 years. I have no demands to pay and have submitted no returns. The only time a tax office will chase you for a tax payment is because somewhere down the line you asked them to by completing some form somewhere. How many people in history of the law have been taken to court for not completing a self-assessment form? The answer is none, ever, period. Never, ever, ever. You cannot be prosecuted for something you have not done. I have not paid any utilities or council tax in over 3 years. In fact, when a demand comes through, it's not only rebuked, but hit with a demand of its own from myself, usually for a larger amount that will cancel out their own demand. The fact that it is already been paid for, and if they persist with their claim, the prosecutor pays it, which they inevitably back out of sharpish. It does work if you don't have the balls. It does work if you don't have the balls to stand up to your true identity and surrender to the fear tactics and the threats that are made against you. You are already at the top of the hierarchy. It is their job to switch positions with you if you allow it. It is that simple. So I said in there that what was the bit? Basically, the bit that don't register things. If you register things, you've given things away. If you register something. Now, I mentioned about what it was like, if you look after your executor of the estate of a departed, dearly departed relative, like in my case, my dad. Well, the error I made was to register his death, because effectively the trust that he had, I gave back. I gave away whatever it was worth, billions probably. I gave it to them. I can't get it back now. But so don't register. If somebody dies, for God's sake, don't register it. If you're the executor of their estate as well, that's what they want you to do. They want you to give away the title every time. Every time you give away the title. At birth, you give away the title. This legal fiction is created. You see, we've got to learn now the difference between being in the private, that's out of their system, and being in the public. Now, it gets very confusing, because when you're in the public, you're kind of not really in the public, but you're in another private domain, their domain. And you only go into the public, their domain, this other private domain, and this is why I mean it's very confusing, by registering or by acquiescing, by giving away title, by agreeing, letting them have jurisdiction, answering, is your name Joe Bloggs? And if you say yes, you've just agreed to being this legal fiction. You're not a name at all, are you? I mean, let's face it, you're just a spiritual being inhabiting, a nameless spiritual being inhabiting a body of flesh and blood. The fact that you answer to a sound, which might sound like Richard, that's a sound, isn't it? But they call it a name, and then that's how they get you. And if you agree to it, you agree to this being this capitalization, which is basically symbols. It's not really grammatically correct. It's a different language than the Oxford English language that we all think that we speak. And then they come along with their dog Latin or their legalese. We mustn't be confused by that. So you have different terms. If you have a conveyance, you might think of it as a car or a vehicle. That's in their system, but it's a conveyance. It conveys you from one. You're living in the private if you travel in your conveyance. If you're a traveller, you're not in their system. But if you are a driver is somebody who drives commercially. A van driver drives commercially, delivering things. A bus driver, a train driver. They're all driving in commerce, which is what the dead entity corporations operate. But if you are just travelling, and you are a traveller, you're not a driver, and you're in your conveyance, you're in the public. There's loads and loads of these terms. We'll get into these. We'll start looking at these terms so that you fully understand. As I say, I'm learning, but I'm learning rapidly, and I'm sharing what I know. And it's great that somebody like Ashley has put a brilliant comment like that to confirm up. Now, I know some people will put their head in the sand and won't understand it. I just want to go back now to the, briefly back to the online safety bill, not the online safety bill, but the prorogation of what the King has done. And the mysterious part of that. Just hold what I've just been talking about, because I think that there is significance between the dates that fall between the time that the King prorogued Parliament. So we've got the 31st, which is Halloween, and we have the 5th of November, which you may remember the 5th of November. There was, of course, a plot to blow up Parliament. It's interesting that Parliament has been shut down during that period. And I was talking to, albeit through somebody else, but an eminent, and you'll know the name, I'm sure, but I won't mention it here, an eminent astrologer who said that there are powers and things in the universe going on at the moment which are connected to Saturn, which is interesting because Saturn is connected to Satan, war and control. The same conjunction that went on in March 2020. And we know what happened in 2020, don't we? We had the lockdowns, we had the fear-mongering. It seems that from around about the 4th and 5th of November, Some more fear-mongering is going to happen. Events will be going on. Some weird control. Who knows what it is? Maybe we'll start to see these aliens, these pretend aliens. Maybe the war in the Middle East will expand. Maybe the government, because they're not actually in control at the moment, will be pushed away and the king will do something. I don't know, but something is afoot. But the thing to be is, don't be frightened. Don't let the fear get you. Don't let the corporations, and remember, the Prime Minister's office is a corporation, a dead entity. It's part of Parliament. Parley, to talk, meant lies, to tell lies. Corporation is corpse, dead. Oration, to speak. They may speak of dead things. They may speak of lies. They may instill fear. Don't be frightened. Live with love in your heart. Rebut all of the stuff. We'll be going into this in a lot more details on how you can do it and keep away from this. This is really just to say, I think this is the track that we're on. We are on the track to freedom, and more of this freedom stuff is coming. So thank you for watching this, and thank you for taking on board some of the ideas and suggestions that I'm making. 'Tis just my opinion, but I have been waking up rapidly to what's going on. And we're going to win this. We're going to win this. Do not, whatever you do, be fearful. You are creditors. Man created governments and things. As he says, the created cannot be above the creator. The only person, if you like, and person's not the right word, but the only thing above us is the creator of us. God, the universe, the source, whatever you want to call it. We are in the hierarchy, and we, as the people, are above the corporations. So don't be fearful about them bashing your door down, coming in to put a smart meter in. We're going to rebut all of that. We're not giving them the jurisdiction. We will win this.